has committed a fault, take that child in your arms and let it feel your heart beat against its heart, and raise your children in the sunlight of love, and they will be sunbeams to you along the pathway of life. Abolish the club and the whip from the house, because if the civilized use a whip, the ignorant and the brutal will use a club, and they will use it because you use the whip. Every little while some door is thrown open in some orphan asylum, and there we see the bleeding back of a child whipped beneath the roof that was raised by love. It is infamous! And a man that can't raise a child without the whip ought not to have a child. If there is one of you here that ever expect to whip your child again, let me ask you something. Have your photograph taken at the time, and let it show your face red with vulgar anger, and the face of the little one with eyes swimming in tears, and the little chin dimpled with fear, looking like a piece of water struck by a sudden cold wind. If that little child should die, I cannot think of a sweeter way to spend an autumn afternoon than to take that photograph, and go to the cemetery when the maples are clad in tender gold, and when little scarlet runners are coming from the sad heart of the earth, and sit down upon that mound, and look upon that photograph, and think of the flesh, now dust, that you beat. Just think of it. I could not bear to die in the arms of a child that I had whipped. I could not bear to feel upon my lips, when they were withered beneath the touch of death, the kiss of one that I had struck. Some Christians act as though they really thought that when Christ said, "Suffer little children to come unto me," he had a rawhide under his coat. They act as though they really thought that he made that remark simply to get the children within striking distance. I have known Christians to turn their children from their doors, especially a daughter, and then get down on their knees and pray to God to watch over them and help them. I will never ask God to help my children unless I am doing my level best in that same wretched line. I will tell you what I say to my girls. Go where you will, do what crime you may, fall to what depth of degradation you may, in all the storms and winds and earthquakes of life, no matter what you do, you never can commit any crime that will shut my door, my arms, or my heart to you. As long as I live, you have one sincere friend. Call me an atheist, call me an infidel, because I hate the God of the Jew, which I do. I intend so to live that when I die my children can come to my grave and truthfully say, "He who sleeps here never gave us one moment of pain." When I was a boy there was one day in each week too good for a child to be happy in. In these good old times Sunday commenced when the sun went down on Saturday night, and closed when the sun went down on Sunday night. We commenced Saturday to get a good ready, and when the sun went down Saturday night there was a gloom deeper than midnight that fell upon the house. You could not crack hickory nuts then, and if you were caught chewing gum it was only another evidence of the total depravity of the human heart. Well, after a while we got to bed sadly and sorrowfully, after having heard heaven thanked that we were not all in hell. And I sometimes used to wonder how the mercy of God lasted as long as it did, because I recollected that on several occasions I had not been at school when I was supposed to be there. Why I was not burned to a crisp was a mystery to me. The next morning we got ready for church, all solemn, and when we got there the minister was up in the pulpit about 20 feet high, and he commenced at Genesis about the fall of man, and he went on to about 23rdly. Then he struck the second application, and when he struck the application I knew he was about halfway through. And then he went on to show the scheme of how the Lord was satisfied by punishing the wrong man. Nobody but a God would have thought of that ingenious way. Well, when he got through that, then came the catechism, the chief end of man. Then my turn came, and we sat along on a little bench where our feet came within about 15 inches of the floor, and the dear old minister used to ask us, "Boys, do you know that you ought to be in hell?" And we answered up as cheerfully as could be expected under the circumstances, "Yes, sir." "Well, boys, do you know that you would go to hell if you died in your sins?" And we said, "Yes, sir." And then came the great test. "Boys," I can't get the tone, you know, and you know that is how the preachers get the bronchitis. You never heard of an auctioneer getting the bronchitis, nor the second mate on a steamboat. Never. What gives it to the minister is talking solemnly when they don't feel that way. And it has the same influence upon the organs of speech that it would have upon the cords of the calves of your legs, to walk on your tiptoes. And so I call bronchitis parsonitis. And if the ministers would all tell exactly what they think, they would all get well. But keeping back a part of the truth is what gives them bronchitis. Well, the old man, the dear old minister, used to try and show us how long we would be in hell if we would only locate there. But to finish the other, the grand test question was, "Boys, if it was God's will that you should go to hell, would you be willing to go?" And every little liar said, "Yes, sir." Then, in order to tell how long we would stay there, he used to say, "Suppose once in a billion ages a bird should come from a far distant clime and carry off in its bill one little grain of sand. The time would finally come when the last grain of sand would be carried away. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir." Boys, by that time it would not be sunup in hell. Where did the doctrine of hell come from? I will tell you, from that fellow in the dugout. Where did he get it? It was a souvenir from the wild beasts. Yes, I tell you, he got it from the wild beasts, from the glittering eye of the serpent, from the coiling, twisting snakes with their fanged mouths. And it came from the bark, growl, and howl of wild beasts. It was born of a laugh of the hyena, and got it from the depraved chatter of malicious apes. And I despise it with every drop of my blood, and defy it. If there is any God in this universe who will damn his children for an expression of honest thought, I wish to go to hell. I would rather go there than go to heaven and keep the company of a God that would thus damn his children. Oh, it is an infamous doctrine to teach that to little children, to put a shadow in the heart of a child, to fill the insane asylums with that miserable, infamous lie. I see now and then a little girl, a dear little darling, with a face like the light, and eyes of joy, a human blossom, and I think, is it possible that little girl will ever grow up to be a Presbyterian? Is it possible, my goodness, that the flower will finally believe in the 5 points of Calvinism, or in the eternal damnation of man? Is it possible that that little fairy will finally believe that she could be happy in heaven with her baby in hell? Think of it! Think of it! And that is the Christian religion. We cry out against the Indian mother that throws her child into the Ganges to be devoured by the alligator or crocodile. But that is joy in comparison with the Christian mother's hope that she may be in salvation while her brave boy is in hell. I tell you, I want to kick the doctrine about hell. I want to kick it out every time I go by it. I want to get Americans in this country placed so they will be ashamed to preach it. I want to get the congregation so that they won't listen to it. We cannot divide the world off into saints and sinners in that way. There is a little girl, fair as a flower, and she grows up until she is 12, 13, 14 years old. Are you going to damn her in the 15th, 16th, or 17th year, when the arrow from Cupid's bow touches her heart and she is glorified? Are you going to damn her now? She marries and loves and holds in her arms a beautiful child. Are you going to damn her now? When are you going to damn her? Because she has listened to some Methodist minister, and after all that flood of light failed to believe?